again, roughly, in apartheid South Africa, the minority of, let's say, like 10%, the 10% white population ruled quite oppressively the 90% black population. Whereas in Israel, contrary to what I think is this idea that it's a hyper-Jewish Orthodox state, it is a secular state where the 80% Jewish population, or maybe I should say the 20% Arab population, has the exact same rights and potential for representation in parliament and so on as the Jewish population, again opposed to the government of Gaza, which I understand
there's a lot of
rules by Sharia law.
That's absolutely true. When you talk to Israelis or you go and study the country, the biggest problem about civil liberties and civic participation that's asymmetrical is not Arab Israeli. It's Orthodox Jew versus non-Orthodox. So maybe 30 to 50%, depending on how you gauge it, of Israelis are completely secular. For them, being Jewish or being Jewish observant is sort of like many Jews in the United States. It's something they do occasionally. But strictly Orthodox Jews have not been subject to military service. So a lot of Israelis say to them, well, you people are strident about your Jewishness and you don't want to make the necessary concessions with the Palestinians, and yet we secular Jews are the ones that fight more per capita than you do. And so when I hear that there's separate rules, yes, there's separate rules, and the secular Jews feel, and I'm not that sympathetic with them, but they feel they're being discriminated by the fact that they're not Orthodox and can claim religious exemptions, and therefore they imperil themselves and in fact die in larger numbers. And that's behind a lot of the anger that we saw this summer with the civic disruptions and protests against the Netanyahu government, that most of those people were on the left and secular, and they felt that they were being inordinately put upon, whereas the observant Jews were not. And so I shouldn't say observant, I mean Orthodox, traditionally observant. So there's a lot of tensions in Israel about particular classifications that have nothing to do with Muslim or Jewish or anything. And if you talk to Christians, which is about, of the 21% that are Arabs, about 10% or so are Christian, and you ask them when there's nobody around you that can hear, did you feel safer in Bethlehem, or did you feel safer up here on the shores of the Sea of Galilee inside Israel as a Christian? It's not even close. I've never heard one person say they felt safer as a Christian in the West Bank. In fact, when you look at Christian populations in Beirut or Syria or the West Bank, they are diminishing at a rapid rate because they feel there's zero religious tolerance. And all of what we've discussed is known to anybody on a campus that wants to take just an hour of research, and they know it. So what fuels this anger is not these issues that we've talked about: apartheid, disproportionality, colonialism, collateral damage. It's a deep-seated hatred of Israel and the Jewish people, and a lot of it is out of envy, as it always is with anti-Semitism. It's the idea that these people are clannish, or they have a clique, or they put this high premium on commerce or education or professional, and they make all this money, and they're not sympathetic to us, and they overachieve. I've heard that my entire life from anti-Semites, and that's pretty much what is behind this new manifestation from the left. When I was 12 or 14, I never met anybody who was Jewish until I was 18. Rural Central Valley, but there was always the mysterious Jew that some of the fruit farmers would say, well, I can't sell my peaches or plums because the Jews in New York manipulate the fruit market, and we get $2 a box, and they sell it for 20 and they pocket it. So when I got to UC Santa Cruz, I thought, where are all these Jews? I want to see who they are that that supposedly stole all our money. And there was a lot of Jews. I didn't see it, but that was the idea. It was on the right, is what I'm trying to say. And it was easily identifiable and correctable. Now it's on the left, and it's insidious, and it's embedded within all sorts of pretensions of these cultural binaries: victim, victimizer, oppressed. And they have taken on the mantle of a white Western oppressor. And that means that the people who call them names and demonstrate are exempt, because under that binary, the oppressed and the victimized cannot be racist or anti-Semitic. That's just the way that the university works. So they say things and they do things that would be outrageous to chase people into a library, or to hit a person, a facsimile of a Jew, and say effing Jew on a campus, and they feel that they're going to be exempt, and they're absolutely correct. They have been exempt. And the only time a university president really said anything about what was going on was in fear after Liz McGill, the former Stanford law dean at the University of Pennsylvania, was forced to resign. Then all of a sudden you saw a spate of "not in my name, we don't do this, this isn't who we are" type of boilerplate presidential memos to the faculty and students. But before that, they were more afraid of the majority opinion on campus, the Middle Eastern students, and that's where the center of gravity was, and they reacted accordingly.